here, and this is my first movie review of 2026. Then into the new year, We Bury the Dead, and this is of course directed by Zak Hilditch, and this is starring of course Daisy Ridley as Ava, Brenton Thwaites, Marco Smith, Kym Jackson, Chloe Hurst, and Salmi Garasinar. And of course, let's just go into the brief synopsis of it. After a catastrophic military disaster, the dead don't just rise. They hunt Ava, searches for her missing husband, but what she finds is far more terrifying. So yes, Daisy Ridley pretty much plays this person named Ava who is on the lookout and on the hunt for her husband's killer, and she pretty much feels like as she's going on this whole thing and called in of what happened with the military, what happened, what happened to her husband, she goes on an absolute manhunt for it. But what she encounters is of course these absolute bloodthirsty and bloodthirsty sucking, just maddening zombie, and she gets up into an exotic, erotic zombie thriller, and this whole chase scene sequence and everything. And she's been in a lot of small time movie roles. Daisy really has. She's been in a lot of small time movie roles. She hasn't really done anything else big, but I think this may be one of her better performances as far as really nailing this Ava character and really nailing exactly what her pretty much her mission and goals was, which was set out. And I think she really gives off the overall fear, the dramaticness, and the overall tension that you would, knowing that you need to find and locate and track down your husband's killer at this point. Because and then she encounters and what she embarks on is something that she can't unseat your way of getting out from. She ends up unlocking it ungrammatically and unsatisfyingly attracting and getting out of just the dead. The dead is coming from all angles and all distances throughout. And when I was watching this film, I saw that it was just so much going on to unravel and unpack, whether it be the dead coming from inside these cabins, whether it be coming from underneath this story house that she was pretty much staying in, and she was trying to recuperate herself, man. And after she was getting called and after she getting stayed, like it was just a film that to me, it was so riveting and so relevant that it found its way into being more chaotic and barbaric and catastrophic. I enjoyed her performance, and I enjoyed pretty much everything in the world surrounded with it. The only thing that I really would wish, and I'll get into my biggest negatives and my biggest cons when I get to that point, but I think that this film, what it embarks on and what it really embarks on, is really the overall look of the zombies. I really like the look of it. I really like the overall tension that that the rest of the supporting cast gave, and I thought that they really Brenton Thwaites and Mark Smith, I thought they really gave a solid performance in there as well. Um, but I like the look of the zombies as well. Those are my main big positives, and I will say the pacing of this film was not as bad. It was actually going by pretty quick. It was pretty short, only like an hour and 28 minutes long, and it pretty short. It felt like it ran its course. So I like that about the film. Now, the main thing that I would say is a big complaint that I say is I do think they kind of rush as far as the storytelling goes and the subplots. It just borrows a lot of time from other previous zombie films, other previous zombie flicks. It reminds me a lot of earlier times if you watch the movies like Zombieland. Like it was felt a little bit more comedic in certain spots and elements. It didn't always necessarily work, and I do feel like it kind of rushed. The whole murder mystery aspect. And once we end up finding out, about what happened to her husband and what happened to Ava's husband in the midst of the film, I just think that once we got to that point, it didn't really have a lot of stand power. It wasn't really forth telling. It wasn't really long lasting, and that was my big complaint um, once we got into that second half, and once we really start to unravel and start to unpack the story, and didn't really feel like it was satisfying. Didn't really feel like you was really concentrating more on um, Ava and her story and the mystery. It felt like it felt like it was kind of dragging along. And once we got to the center point in that center point in the film, it didn't really capture the feeling and the tension and the overall angst and the anxiety and the overall just like the harsh reality of what just happened if you get caught up in those kind of predicaments and situations. They really capture that feeling and that tension, and that's what I didn't really care for about the film. So overall, I thought this was pretty interesting and unique premise. Unlike zombie movies, but I felt a lot of familiarity in the second half, and it reminded me of previous other zombie films, and it didn't really have a lot of leg room to stand on, and the murder mystery aspects. I felt like it was a bit rushed, despite really good performances, of course from Daisy Ridley and of course from Brenton Thwaites and Marco Smith. There just wasn't enough to save the film from the lack of storytelling and the overall familiarity and the subplots of typical zombie flicks. So overall, I would give this film like 2.5 out of 4 stars. I think it's a good time watch, but I think that you can find other better films that are in this kind of genre for horror flicks elsewhere from other films that I've already mentioned. So yeah, I will go and check those out before checking out this. But I think Daisy really has the potential to do something else. I think she has the potential of making other big films in the future. I just think that these are more the small time roles like what she did with Magpie, the Marsh King's daughter, Chaos Walker with Tom Holland. Like I think that she has a chance to really get back into the thick of things as far as her acting career goes. I just think that she's kind of taking a more of a slower process into going into that realm. Like she'll get back eventually into the Star Wars films, but that'll come out, in the latter up and coming years. But I feel like this role can really subsequently get her into those big time roles that she wants. So I think that this is a really good start for her to get back into that kind of mode. But yeah, I think that the disappointment for me is the storytelling and the ridiculous subplot, which we get into the second half of it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on We Bury the Dead. Tell me what you guys think down in the comment section. And what is your favorite Daisy Ridley movie so far from her career outside of the Star Wars sequel trilogy? And tell me what is your top 5 zombie films that you've seen. Let me know down in the comment section down there, and I will be getting on out of here. I got some more content for you guys to check out, so be on the lookout for it. I'm out. Peace.